name's Ronan Doherty. I'm a lecturer in Letterkenny IT and I'm also a performance nutritionist at the Irish Institute of Sport. I work with a range of athletes from Irish sailing, Irish rowing, Irish hockey, Paralympics Ireland, and I'm also involved with Donegal senior team and under 21s. So the most important meal for me is breakfast. Athletes and indeed the general public tend to skip breakfast, or it can be a problem that they skip breakfast. So if you do that, it tends to set you up for a bad day in terms of your nutrition. Whereas if you get your breakfast right, then you begin the fueling process for the day, and it also sets you up for a good day. You have to remember that when you wake up, you've been fasting for possibly 8 to 10 hours, so it's really important to fuel the body when you get up. In terms of fueling, there's a few things you have to get right. So you have to look at the duration of the training session or the event. So obviously you need carbohydrate for fuel. So I'd look at about 3-4 hours before, looking at a pre-event meal which is relatively high in carbohydrate, moderately high in protein and low in fat, so something like spaghetti bolognese, lasagna and side salad. Depends on the athlete and their preference, but that's generally what you're looking at. And then maybe a snack to top up 1 to 2 hours before. Even a banana an hour before would be perfect to get a bit of extra fuel in. Generally things that should be avoided are any foods that are very high in sugar. So you're looking at soft drinks, heavily processed foods, pastries, cakes, sweets, confectionery. All those foods should be avoided, or at least you should limit the intake of those types of foods. So before, you're looking at fueling for the event. So any event that lasts longer than an hour, you're going to have to take fuel on board during the activity because our carbohydrate stores are limited. But you want to maximise those stores beforehand, so you're looking at, as I said, a high carbohydrate meal. Also you want to be hydrated, so you need to be looking at trying to hydrate 3 to 4 hours before the event and then sipping water constantly through to the event. And maybe third piece of advice is bear in mind the duration of the session. So the longer the session, the more taxing it's going to be on the body. So you need to make sure that you get your preparation right before the event. In terms of after, for recovery, you're looking at getting carbohydrate and protein and also replacing fluids and electrolytes. So one thing that lots of people use for recovery is chocolate milk because it has all those nutrients in the proper ratio. So it's got roughly a 3-to-1 ratio of carbohydrates to protein, which can be consumed immediately after training or matches and really starts the recovery process. In terms of eating well, the first thing they can do is try and avoid as much as possible giving their children heavily processed foods. So things like frozen pizzas, foods like that are generally heavily processed. Some convenience meals are also heavily processed. 2, they could look to try and include as much fresh fruit and veg in their children's diets as possible. 3, I'd limit their consumption of soft drinks. 4, I'd try and avoid high sugar foods as much as possible. Maybe steer them towards healthier options rather than giving them snacks like chocolate bars, sweets, things like that in their lunch. And then 5 is, if the parent has a healthy diet themselves, then obviously that's going to impact on their child's diet, so the child is most likely going to have a healthier diet. Hydration's key. A lot of the work that I do with a lot of teams involves hydration, so generally one of the areas that I'd look to focus on initially when I work with a team is hydration. So you can test athletes' hydration before performance. I tend to do that quite a lot, and you'd be surprised by how bad some of the results are. The key points in terms of hydration are that it really impacts performance, so things like strength, power output, reaction time, use of energy, feelings of fatigue or RPE are all affected by hydration. So just by being properly hydrated, that really impacts your performance. If you're dehydrated starting performance, so for example if you're 1% dehydrated, your maximum performance is limited at 95% of your max. If you're 2% dehydrated, then there's a roughly 10% performance drop. So it's vital that you start exercise, training or games hydrated. It depends what the person looks at as comfort food, but there's a lot of recipes out there that you can look at for healthy options for comfort foods. Things like protein pancakes, maybe making your own cereal bars, protein balls. There's a couple of great recipes online for avocado chocolate mousse, things like that. There are healthier options to shop, but comfort foods are always good and useful. People get confused between energy drinks and sports drinks. Sports drinks generally contain carbohydrate, fluids and electrolytes, whereas energy drinks are generally carbonated, so they're more soft drink type drinks, and they also contain stimulants, generally caffeine. So there's a big difference between sports drinks and energy drinks. So to answer the question, I'd say sports drinks, yes, if the event is an hour or longer. Energy drinks, generally no. In terms of supplements that are effective, the first thing most people should look to address is maybe an imbalance in their diet, or say someone who doesn't eat a wide variety of fruit and veg, they should look to include a multivitamin in their diet, one that has a broad spectrum of vitamins and minerals to try and maximise their health and performance. 2, generally in Ireland we don't have enough sunlight to metabolise a lot of vitamin D, so there's a massive amount of research showing that vitamin D is linked to performance and also immunity, so you should look to take vitamin D, particularly in the winter months. Also, protein's proven to be a really beneficial supplement in terms of promoting muscle protein synthesis or adaptations from training. So whey protein after training, if the person can't consume a meal immediately after, can be very beneficial. Also, probiotics are very useful in terms of promoting immunity, and finally, beta-alanine is shown to be a really good supplement in terms of buffering capacity. Similarly, nitrate or beetroot juice reduces the oxygen cost of exercise, so there's a wide and broad amount of research, particularly in nitrate at the moment, so it's probably one that's very topical and has been shown to be beneficial in terms of performance.